Thank you for giving me a few moments here to speak on behalf of KeyBank, and we thank certainly the PSMA and Jim and his connections with us to allow this. So we're very excited at KeyBank to be a proud sponsor. And one of the things that, for those who may not know much about KeyBank, and I recognize that, is we're predominantly in the northeast part of the country, Midwest and West Coast. Not as much so here in the South, but certainly long-term and future plans might include that. But recognizing that you guys may not all be right here in Atlanta, and I know we have some members that are live streaming that could be in different parts of the country as well, did want to just take a moment or two to talk about KeyBank and make sure you guys did know some of the information. As you can see down at the bottom of our tagline here, with KeyBank, essentially what we're trying to do is support all of our business owners with a team of experts, simple tools, and great value. And ultimately what this does, it makes you guys a little bit more efficient and be able to run your business or your practice a little bit better. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And as we go through the slides, some of this will just be bullet point material, but then I'm going to encourage this to be a little bit more interactive as we go through the presentation. And certainly at the end, we'll have some time that I may be able to address some questions as well. As Jim had indicated, I come here and I'm excited to be in Atlanta because I was born and raised here in Atlanta. The accent you can probably pick up on, where this is different from where I'm corporate based out of Cleveland, Ohio. They don't understand the accent, but I'm glad to be back in front of family and friends. So let me just kind of jump right in. Here we go. From a business perspective, we know that there are a lot of issues that you guys in the healthcare industry and really across all industries are facing in the world today. These things may impact and affect your business in different ways, and ultimately what we want to try to bring to you guys is solutions that are going to make your company better, stronger, and more efficient. And I'll apologize for the blinking right there. We'll have this all right, but we'll keep moving on here. So issues that most medical practices face are really, like a lot of businesses, are centered around cash flow. We've got, when I talk to business owners, we see a lot of success and failure from businesses are really situated around the flow of cash coming in and out of your business. And we've got some ideas that hopefully you may already be well aware of, whether it's with the bank you're working with currently or maybe banks in the future, that's centered around how you can make yourself more efficient. Another topic I want to maybe hit on, because we know this is an issue, is finding capital. Practice financing is oftentimes it's limited, and a lot of conventional banks really don't have the tailor-made solutions that you may be looking for. And then another issue we see quite often is, quite honestly, a lot of bankers don't understand the medical practice. They understand businesses, but maybe not as much so the issues and the things that you're facing as a medical business. Some of the impacts that come as a result of this, we always look at, as a banker, obviously we're looking at bottom line. We're trying to see where you guys can become more efficient. But some of those impacts may be that businesses are running the risk of losing out on revenue when they can't run efficiently, when they don't have the opportunity to grow their business. You may be losing out on revenue, and then certainly the bottom line, your net income could be impacted if you're not financing things properly and you're not using the solutions that KeyBank or maybe the bank you're working with can provide to you. And then maybe another third bullet point we have there is the human capital resources not being used in a way that makes your practice run more smoother. So those are just a couple of the impacts that we have here. Solutions that we can provide are going to be based upon streamlining and implementing a cash management program. That's a lot of bank jargon, if you will, but bottom line is we want to make sure that you can get cash in faster, and then maybe even push back the time you're giving cash away. That's all part of cash flow. And the better businesses and certainly medical practices that you're all serving, the better you do at that, the more successful you can be over time. I talked just a few moments ago when hitting one of the bullet points on impacts and issues, determining the proper structure of the practice debt. We see this very often, and again, not just isolated in your industry, but a lot of industries across the board. the practice debt not being financed the way it should be can also lead to big problems. And we can talk briefly about that as well. And then lastly, we've got here with KeyBank just what we call an undeniable value offer. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is to give new business practices the opportunity, if they want to bring their full relationship with us, we're going to offer you $5,000 to make that change, because we know that there's a lot of things that may get in the way of changing banks. So we're going to provide just some great products, some great solutions, and then on top of that, be able to give your business, your medical practice, $5,000 on top of that. All right, so let's kind of go a little bit more deeper now into how you can become more efficient with your banking. ACH, Automated Clearinghouse. That's the acronym for it. Banks are huge into acronyms, as you guys probably all aware, and you may have some in your industry as well. But ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. And what we do with ACH is, like everything I've been talking to that gets to this point, we're going to try to reduce your operational cost of getting money in and out of your accounts through your payments, through your reconciliation. And then ultimately, by doing so, you're going to quicken up your receivables. All right, that when you get cash flowing into your business quicker, that makes you more efficient. We're going to be able to show you how to do this online. Many of you, I'm sure, already have banking solutions that are working online, but if not, we want to be able to show how you can do that. And ultimately, by being part of the ACH, Automated Clearinghouse, you can do things same day. That goes to the point of, like I said, bringing in your receivables and any bills that you're due in quicker the same day in some cases, and then holding on to money you have to go out by the same way on the opposite end. You're going to wait to do your payments longer, because then when you're ready to pay it, it goes that same day as well. So again, hastening up the cash flow cycle. How it works, just I won't go through every one of these, but I did want you to see this, and this is included on the slides, again, for those that are streaming online or ultimately be able to take a look at this. We're going to provide payment data to KeyBank. You will do that to us through online type service. We're going to work with it securely and put it into the ACH network. At that time, the entries get distributed to wherever they're trying to get to, whoever it is you're trying to pay and their financial institution. Ultimately, you receive confirmation reports that same day so that you can reconcile and keep your business going where you know where everything is at all times. By doing so, you can see the small bullet points, and I apologize for the smaller font there, but one of the great things about ACH is you're able to eliminate the expense of printing, writing, mailing checks. As time has evolved and as the banking industry has changed, you guys probably see that. We're trying to get away from paper type products, and ultimately this helps you. If you're not having to pay for checks that ultimately you're issuing, or you're reducing the amount of checks you write, that helps you save on money right there. We're able to do it all electronically, which again goes to being faster and more efficient. You can make payments to your vendors, to other institutions or other clients that you may have that you have to pay that work through the ACH network, and international as well. In some instances, if you have international, if you may be in a medical industry, perhaps you are you've got vendors that are located internationally, and be able to pay them in and out quicker certainly works to your advantage. In addition to the ACH or Automated Clearinghouse, one of the other ways that you can be quicker with your money going in and out is obviously through wire services. I won't go into great details on this. I'm sure you guys are all well aware of it, but I do like to have that included in the slide just so that you can make notes of the way really wire services should work. And as wires are, just by the nature of them, they're almost automatic. There's a lot of protections, checks, and balances to get you to that point, but because it's automatic, as soon as you send it, that will allow you to pay things. You wait to the last moment, if you will, to maybe pay items if you have vendors that are looking to get paid via wire transfer. The other real quick way to receive money is Lockbox Services. You've probably talked or spoken to your banker or to your bank with regards to this, or they may have approached you about this particular product and service. Lockbox Services is when you've got paper checks that are coming in, you're billing your patients, and if they're not paying you at the time, but ultimately they send checks to you to finalize their payment to you, By going through the Lockbox Services, it's much quicker. It goes to a central location, depending upon where you and your practice is located. You guys probably are aware it's a post office box where it then comes to KeyBank or the bank of your choice, where we're able to get those processed almost immediately, and it stops the delay of check coming to you having to wait to get to the bank and process it. This is a much quicker way to do that. So the Lockbox Services should be something you're already looking at, or if not, I would highly suggest that you speak to your bank or banker about that particular product. All right, the fun part that I like to do, that I'm doing with KeyBank, is really centered around lending. And that's what I wanted to kind of jump to in this part of the presentation, is to talk about financing. Financing for healthcare practices, you'll see the slide here, and again, you can look at it at your time and convenience. But one of the things that KeyBank can really bring in this healthcare industry is some expertise centered around lending. And not only that, we've got a lot of really good solutions that can go towards the lending part. We work closely with the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, to partner to help find even more and bigger solutions for you guys as borrowers. What you may see, and maybe already a part of you know, if you've got loans, lines, and other type of lending products out there, you may have obtained that through, it could have been a number of different ways, but if it wasn't through bank financing, it probably came with a higher cost, whether it's in the form of interest, whether it's in the form of maybe a portion of your business or your practice. We'd like to come in and get that into more traditional or conventional bank financing if there's a need right there. So we've got the opportunity to talk and work our way with, in most cases, 100% financing that is often one of our competitors aren't really offering that right now. We can do this if you're acquiring a practice, if you're trying to buy into a practice, and then, as I said, refinance maybe some debt as well. Some of the other ways that you may go about structuring debt would be in possibly equipment. With equipment financing, you guys know, I'm sure well better than most, the technology is always changing, and what you guys have to do makes it that the type of equipment you need, you may have to go through every 2 or 3 years. And one of the things that our bank at Key, and certainly probably with your bank as well, should be able to provide you leasing solutions or straight out purchasing solutions. And then finally, the real estate that you guys are in, that's another great way that medical practices can ultimately build their net worth, is to own the real estate that you operate out of. And when coming to KeyBank, or really any bank that you work with, we've got the opportunity to finance that out for longer terms. I talked about the 100% financing in some cases, and the longer terms going up to 25 years really makes the cash flow, again, cash flow being a key here. If you can stretch out a mortgage for 25 years, a payment's usually very reasonable and allows you to keep more of your cash while you're starting to build the equity in that particular building. In addition to that type of lending, you can see on the right-hand side of the slide here, the patient payments and collecting funds. That goes back to the ACH that we were referring to. And certainly our bank, as well as any bank you should be working with, has the ability to provide you online banking so that you can reconcile your accounts, be quicker to that. And then processing merchant services. Most of you, I'm quite certain, accept credit cards as form of payment when the client's insurance doesn't cover all that. So to be able to use Key Merchant Services to collect those funds more immediate will also help you run a little bit quicker. All right, so we've got some promotions that are really wonderful. I already talked about the UDV, that acronym for undeniable value, the $5,000 offer that we're able to bring to our clients, and I'll dig down a little deeper at that in just a moment. Lines of credits. Lines of credits should be used more for your short-term working capital that you may have. That may be where you've got to potentially purchase supplies, maybe inventory, things like that. You want to use your lines of credits for. And then for maybe longer term or more specific collateral, you certainly would need to look at term loans. And we've got interest rates as low as fixed 4.99 right now. And in a rate environment that from a banking perspective, we see beginning to rise here, possibly by the end of the year, or certainly as we roll into the year 2020. Interest rates are only going to start going up. They're almost at historical lows for commercial right now. So if you've got needs that you need to finance for equipment or other such things, I would highly recommend talking to your banker and looking at a term loan with very low interest rates. We already discussed the commercial mortgages, and one of the other things that we're able to offer now is our savings accounts, our money market demand accounts. This is a liquid savings account with interest rates at 2% right now. It wasn't that long ago when the banking industry wasn't given any interest on deposits, and if they were, it was very minuscule, maybe like 10 basis points, something very small. We recognize the value in having deposits, and you guys receiving interest on that. We're right now working at 2% on liquid cash accounts. So just keep that in mind. And if that's something you want to talk offline with me, I'll be happy to do so. Or certainly I would encourage you to speak to your banker, because not a lot of banks are doing that when we look to our competitors. And then all practices should also have a business credit card that you can use for your very short-term needs, things like travel expenses, when you're out and about in events like this, in other seminars, and possibly any other miscellaneous office expenses. Being able to use your credit card helps with the cash flow, because as you think about this, if you make a purchase on a credit card today, your bill's not going to come for 30 days. And then in most cases, the credit card was going to allow you another 15 to 20 days to make that payment. So that stretches that whole cycle out 45 days for you from when you made that purchase. And if you think about that over the long term with anything you may make a purchase of, that starts adding up. When you're keeping your cash in with you and then delaying your outgoing cash, it does make you more profitable at the end. So the undeniable value that I was referring to, we've got a couple of bullet points. We're a relationship bank. And one of the things we want to do when we're establishing those relationships is really talk about the full accounts of products and services that we may be able to provide. Obviously, the checking account, it would be your primary operating checking account is where we would start with. That's for your day-to-day checking expenses, money going in, money going out. The money market, we talked about before, the savings account. We want to encourage that type of a savings account with your excess capital. And then the credit cards, I just hinted upon that as well. So if you do those three, and then lastly, as we talk about a full relationship, we are interested in how you process your credit cards, your merchant processing. And if we had the opportunity to process those for your business as well, when you do all four of those products, we put all that together, and then we're going to reward you at $5,000 once we can see that all that has been open and transactions are taking place. So that's just, we don't know of any other competitor doing anything like that. From time to time, we'll see other banks that will put offers out there for $100, maybe $500. But we are serious about what we're trying to do in the healthcare space and the healthcare industry, and we're putting out $5,000. So just keep that as a note, and we would look forward to the opportunity to speak with you offline on that as well. All right, so I talked about before, I know I've been rambling on here, but I do want to make this a little bit more interactive. And I've put a lot of things out there, but if there are questions you may have from the banking perspective, I know some of the other vendor partners that have been up here already and that we're going to speak to you later in the day, they've got a lot of great information as well. But banking sometimes is the one thing that a lot of practice administrators just kind of push to the side. And so if you've got questions, we'll open it up the floor, and I'd love to try to answer those for you.
Let's give a round of applause first to Ron for the information. You can see he comes down from Cleveland, big sponsor of the organization, really believes in what Tim's put together, really providing value to members that may not have access to a major bank that has healthcare experience and expertise, and wants to work with the membership. So this is really important. Undeniable value. I know when I was there, we started working with Jamie Ward, and I'm putting that together. I was blown away by it. I mean, basically, you're already banking somewhere, they give you $5,000 to be a part of the organization going forward. And then also as a banker, they want to understand everything about your business, what you're trying to do. What are your dreams, aspirations, 3, 5, 10 years? Let's help you get there as a financial institution partner. So who has some questions, Ron, whether it's real live experience or something you faced? I'd just be curious, how often you meet with your banker and whether they're calling on you saying, hey, we've got this new idea or solution, maybe from some of the physicians out there or the practice administrators that work with their banks. Anybody have any comments relative to the relationship with their banker? Anybody involved directly with the banking side of it? Tiffany?
Couple.
Hold on just a second. Let me get over there. Think about what you want to ask or your comment's going to be. Think. You love your banker and you just.
We have a great relationship with our bank. It's somebody that our doctors have been affiliated with and had a relationship with for a long time. Can you hear me? Sorry. So, and they've really been by our side with the development and everything that we've wanted to do to grow the practice. So it's been a really good experience for us. So I would say to anybody out there, it's very important to have a good relationship with your.
Yeah, that's a great point. And specifically within the medical industry, it's a unique opportunity for a banker to make a difference to the owners of the practice themselves. So glad to hear you're having a great experience, and I would hope that everybody is. But if for whatever the reason, you don't have to bring it up right now, but if you feel like that banking relationship may be lacking or isn't the way it was just described right there, that's part of what we're doing with the PSMA is to be able to provide those types of talking points. We're here to provide expertise, and we would certainly love to talk more in particular about your practice or your business. But we want to provide just guidance if need be. So glad to hear that particular story. And then as talked about at the beginning, I think you hinted upon it very briefly. The medical practices, everywhere from when you start up your business, that's really the key part. And I don't know how long the individual practices that you're all part of have been in business, but to form a strong banking relationship on the ground level is important. And then as you grow and as your banker should see the needs change, that's where you want to have that relationship where you feel comfortable reaching out to he or she, that banker, and talk about, hey, what can we do to help grow the practice even further?
That's perfect. And 2 points, and we appreciate it, Tiffany, because if you've got a great relationship with any of the things we're talking about, that's awesome. That's what we're looking for. Some may not have that. The other thing, just to consider, if there's some piece here that your service provider can't offer, then there's an opportunity to either, as he said, just ask them if they can do it. If they can't, then now you've got a source of information for that.
So, can we pick out certain pieces? Like, if we wanted to do like a short-term loan, and then maybe do credit card, we don't have to take a package, or we can custom our own package to what things we feel are beneficial?
Yeah, that's correct. And thanks for asking that question. Again, when we sit down and meet with you, that's when we learn more about your business, what you have now, what you need going forward. And the package that I just described, it tries to encompass everything, but you may not need or have or want to move forward with some of them. But yes, we can pick off and talk about things individually. Maybe you just need a savings account because we can offer 2%. Maybe you just need a line of credit or some sort of credit solution. So yes, we can talk about those one-off products, if you will. But then don't be surprised, as a part of the conversation, it should be centered around, well, we look at it holistically. Let's look at everything. And we kind of move the conversation from there. Yes. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or thoughts just about maybe the banking relationship in general? I know I put things that were kind of specific there because I wanted to make sure we addressed it. But if you've got questions that maybe you got a live banker in front of you for a few more moments, I'll be happy to answer those.
Live banker, I love that. Did you touch on, Ron, the equity piece for a practice that wants to bring on a physician, but there's an equity investment?
A little bit, yes, but I'll go into more detail on that. Absolutely. So. One of the things I mentioned before is in the way we can get creative about financing, we may ask that you not have to put any sort of equity or down payment into financing your particular practice. In some cases, that business owner, they may have the capital and the ability to do so. And obviously, in doing that, it takes away from some of your working capital, but we do have 100% financing that we could put out there. But if you do look to put a little equity injection in the form of cash or capital, that would just obviously make your cash flow a little better, lower the loan amount, lower the loan payment on a monthly basis going forward. But we can do everything from 100% to 10%.
Well, let's give another round of applause to Ron and first here.